Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Digging Deeper. I want to say thank you to Red Cloud for providing two excellent guests today, and we're going to start off with Mr. John Proust, who's the CEO and chairman of Japan Gold. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. We're talking about mining for gold in Japan, but what a story. I had the pleasure of speaking to John a little bit last night. Let's just get right into it because there's lots to go over, and I mean, give us a bit of the premise, and then you can lead right with the great news results you had the other day.
Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you having me on your program today. Japan Gold was formed based on a change in the mining law in Japan. Now, most people don't think of Japan as a destination to find the next gold miner or great gold discovery, but Japan does have a very rich history of gold mining. And in 2012, Japan changed the mining law to allow, for the first time in the country's history, foreign companies to come in and to become involved in the gold mining industry, to hold prospecting rights or mining rights or to own mines. And the backdrop was that there was a closure of all the gold mines that were operating in Japan. There was a large number in the middle of the Second World War. They needed that workforce to support the war, so the mining industry was closed. And most of those mines that were closed are still closed today. So that allowed this incredible opportunity for a company like Japan Gold to be formed, where we could come in after 70 plus years and revitalize that industry by getting access to the old government data to determine which areas we really wanted to go into, to focus on specifically low sulfidation epithermal gold mines, so quartz veins that have gold and alluvium and silver in them, and then to really try and pick up those key areas in Japan. We were fortunate because we were the first mover in the country, and we had a 4.5-year head start before anybody, that we were able to pick up 31 significant projects across Japan. We are able to dominate the major gold provinces in Japan, and we have 47 closed gold mines under our project areas. All this activity attracted the interest of Barrick and Newmont, the two largest gold miners in the world. And we have a countrywide alliance with Barrick on 29 of our 31 projects, where Barrick is solely funding the advancement and evaluation of those 29 projects. And Newmont is focused on 2 other projects that we have, and they're helping to technically guide those projects along as well. That's where we are today.
It's a lot to unpack, and it's what's so incredible is that you were specifically invited as well. So that's part of the key here, and your board and your management team and advisory board and everything is loaded with the right people that not only the country is going to want to see to take advantage of the situation, but to be intimately involved. And that's what has, on top of the results, has attracted the majors and the institutions that are following you guys. Because if someone was to look at you and go, Japan Gold, I didn't know they had mining in Japan, and then the stock price, they would think, oh, I mean, what's going on? And once you look then a little bit harder, and this is what I love about this sector being completely ignored, is the story, what's happening, the results you're getting off of, especially the 100% owned one, and then the team, the people involved. You think, how am I able to get a stock at this price? Right. What's happening here? What's going on?
Well, Andrew, let me sort of fill in a little bit more. When we went into Japan, we made I made a conscious decision very early on, which was, should we be a fully operational company in Japan, or should we try and hire Japanese companies to do some work for us? And we found that really a lot of the skill sets, especially the exploration skill sets, had been had been lost over decades since the Second World War. So we decided to build our own operational group. So starting right from the board of directors, we have one of the top mining executives from Japan, the former chief executive of Sumitomo Corporation's Global Minerals Division, as one of our key directors and representing director in Japan. On our board, we also have the most recent Canadian ambassador to Japan, Ian Burney, who was there for the last 5.5 years and was actually brought up as a child in Japan because his father was a diplomat there as well. So a great history. We've got Michael Carrick on our board, who's been responsible for discovering and developing 7 major mines in 5 countries around the world, including the formation of the B2 Gold enterprise that was 2013, 2014, $4.5 billion combination of assets. So we've got some great people on our board. Mitsuhiko Yamada, I've mentioned already. Also a great explorationist, Paul Harbidge, who many people know was originally at Rand Gold in Africa with Mark Bristow before Mark Bristow moved on to become the CEO of Barrick. And Paul's had a great history there, and then also with Gold Corp as the global exploration leader. So great to have him on our board. In terms of our management team, an excellent management team that includes Takashi Kuriyama, who used to be the head of Sumitomo Metal Mining's global exploration group. He not only led that group for many, many years, but was also the chief geologist and the mine manager at the giant Hishikari gold mine, which is something I wanted to mention to your audience as well, that surprisingly for many people, one of the top tier 1 gold mines in the world is located in Japan, and it's called the Hishikari gold mine. And it's this wonderful, shallow mine that's a low sulfidation epithermal gold mine, just like what we're looking for. And it opened in 1985. It's already produced over 8 million ounces, but the grade is incredible, between 30 and 40 grams per ton. And they still have 5 million plus ounces of reserves remaining. So it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
We have a team of 50 people that operate in my operational group in Japan, geologists, field assistants. We have our own permitting group. We have our own drilling division, and we own 4 of our own diamond core drill rigs. And so that really gives us the ability to advance any opportunity in Japan. And that's why the majors like us.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask me like, okay, how did I not hear about this? And this is the blessing, but also con of when you have such strong institutional interest into a stock, retail sometimes gets forgotten. You go, okay, people just aren't paying attention. But that's where you could find real diamonds in the rough. I mean, that's too cute.
Nuggets in the
nuggets in the but it's true, because it's when you're talking about the scale you're talking about, also institutional investors are a lot more patient because they know the process, they know what they're investing in, and it isn't, a lot of retail investors will start complaining, oh, why isn't this moving faster? Right. But this is the time. I mean, a lot more people are paying attention to gold. Goldman Sachs is saying that there's a commodity super cycle that's starting that they think is going to go for quite a long time. And retail investors, they can look at a company that's going high grade gold. And I mean, as we know, Japan's not a huge country. Mm-hmm. That many properties that you've looped up, that means that's a whole other conversation. Mm-hmm. And then the incredible results from the 100% owned ones. So there's 3 different avenues working with 2 majors, and then your own property, 100% owned, that is doing swimmingly well.
Right. Well, just to touch on shareholders first, and then let's jump into that property that we've just released some results on. So we have, I think, a very strong shareholder base that is far advanced for a junior explorer. And what I mean by that is usually junior explorers have a large retail base. Maybe they're lucky to attract an institution or two, if they have something that's strong technically. In our case, we have over 55% of our shares are held by the biggest institutions in the world. So these are institutions that have recognized Japan as a key new exploration destination, and then they've built on their positions by virtue of the confidence they have with having not only Barrick, but also Newmont deeply embedded in our business. We have institutions like BlackRock, RCF from Denver, Regis, which is one of the largest investors out of Australia, Rothschilds from Europe. It's a great group, and they're all there with what I call a toehold position, where they're waiting for us to get to a point where we want to build a mine and where we're going to need that really large capital.
Yes.
That's what they really want to invest in, something like this. We recently did a financing in the middle of 2021 for $17 million. It was a dramatically oversold financing. It was all institutional led. And they actually came to us and said, by the way, we only want shares. We don't want you to attach warrants to this financing because we think this company is undervalued. And they bought their shares at 35 cents. Interestingly enough, our share price today trades at about 30 cents or 30 in the mid 30s. So it's still at or below the price that the institutions have paid for their shares. So that's one really important piece. You can see that Newmont also owns a 10% stake in our business as well. So there's now with the institutions, that's 65%. Management, we hold 7% of the company. And so we have a fairly small public float of 28%. And that's where the retail opportunity can be involved.
You can see when people pay a bit of attention and they've got a little interest, this thing, in theory, can move very quickly. And it's what's so compelling too is that that's such a selling feature, and it's kind of a contradiction, is that not giving the warrant out, because people are so used to with mining projects, I have to get a warrant or a half warrant to induce someone to buy. Not having to give that out is awesome, but also them recognizing, no, we don't want to dilute this. We understand what this is. That's actually a selling feature to someone who wants to invest in a company, to know you don't have to give that up. Like, you're sitting with a strong position.
Yeah, that's no question. I mean, one of our largest shareholders is Equinox from the U.S. Not Equinox, the public company, but Equinox, the fund that's led by Sean Filer. And they have great confidence in what we're doing. They love the diversity of our management board, and they, the potential of our projects and the results that are sort of pending now have got them very enthusiastic. One thing that's important for your audience is that we've been there since 2012. So your audience has the benefit of 10 years of very hard work, of being first mover, understanding the country, helping design the permitting process in the country to make it very favorable for us, picking up our projects and attracting these large majors. So now we're at the point where we're now starting to come up with results. And the drill bit is really going to test the tail. And just yesterday, we put out very significant results on one of our two projects that are outside the Barrick Alliance, but that are deeply involved with Newmont, where Newmont helps technically advance those businesses with us based on their ownership stake in the country or in the company. But also, Newmont has the right of first refusal to be our partner, our joint venture partner. If we want a partner, we'll go to them first with our terms and work out a deal, or then we would move on to others. So Newmont is really supportive there. And those two projects are our two most advanced projects, where we've done the mapping, the geology, the geophysics, the geochemistry, and we've identified a series of prospects that we've now just started to drill in the middle of 2021. So yesterday, we came out with significant drilling results. This is under an old mine area that's about just over 1.2 kilometers long, a mine area that had 5 historic underground workings, shallow, that were all closed in 1943. And these would have been things that would be poking out of the ground that the old timers would have found, they would have mined. So our thesis is that that's a great indication that there's gold there, because they've mined it and it was high grade. But with the technology that exists today to explore, and with the tools that we have at our disposal, like drills, etc., we're able to really identify where are the feeder zones, where's this gold coming from, and to try and go to those places and find those big intersections or those very high grades. And fortunately for us, we were able to find both. In the results we put out yesterday, we found 20 meters of over 6.3 grams in a zone or a vein zone that was, I'll say, blind. It wasn't poking out of the ground,
Yeah.
It was just a little bit deeper, because all indications for us are that we should be going deeper than the 75 meters that they mined down. We should be going underneath that. We also stepped out 500 meters and then 750 meters away from that intersection that I just talked about, and we hit ultra high grade. So we hit over 1,390 grams per ton over just about half a meter, which is a phenomenal indication that shows us the potential. And again, it was right at the top of the system.
Yes.
So we're about to, in March, embark on another 8 drill holes where we really are zeroing in on the areas that we like. Well, so we'll be further delineating that area that we had the larger intersection to look for grades and tonnage. But then we'll be doing more follow-up step-out holes in those ultra-high grade areas that we've identified to really look at this whole 1.2 kilometer long system. It's very exciting.
There's so much going on, and we've run out of time now, but this poses so many more questions, which is always great for me, because and for journalists watching, you kind of go, well, why is it taking this long? Why is there a 10-year period? You have to remember the mining sector was absolutely in a rut for about 6 or 7, 8 years there. So to be able to hold on to the properties, build a relationship in Japan, having been invited in there, and keep the partnerships, keep everything going, amass all the data, work on it during very difficult times. Like I said, you're getting all that work done. You're getting in lower than the price the institutional investors come in. I would say simply because people aren't paying attention, and there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of stress. I get it, but this is a very unique situation. And even with people not even giving credence to the amazing results posted yesterday, this is one of those interesting parts in time where people are just not looking, and they'll look back at some point and go, "Oh my God, why wasn't I paying attention?"
Well, I think the key thing and I guess one of my sort of parting comments for you, Andrew, is that investors that are looking at this space are smart to do a couple of things. One is to look for a safe geopolitical jurisdiction that's got a real history of high-grade gold mining. The second one is to really look for management that's got a really strong track record. You've got great leadership and a great operational team. But the third one is to find something that's de-risked. And in our case, it's de-risked because you've got the majors that have already come in and done their due diligence. I mean, Barrick is solely funding the advancement of 29 projects. And so, and I'm hopeful that shortly we'll be able to put out an update on 2 years of work that Barrick has done now to really understand Japan more and what their thoughts are going forward. And I think that's a further catalyst for the audience. And so I think really with that kind of background, those are the types of opportunities that investors that are looking at early stage companies, if they can find those 3 ingredients, the de-risking and validation, and the other, and leadership, and the location and history, those are a recipe for success and for a winner.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, John. I look forward to catching up and seeing any news that comes out. This was a big eye opener for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time today, Andrew.
Take care.
Today's company presentations are brought to you by Red Cloud Financial Services and the team at Red Cloud Vancouver. Red Cloud Financial Services is your preeminent source for mining industry opportunities. The team provides a unique tailored marketing program dedicated to reaching the right people from its mining-focused global network, giving clients access to industry-leading events and conferences, retail and institutional marketing, plus an in-house growth-driven digital agency. Red Cloud Financial Services has access to some of the mining industry's most notable companies and CEOs. Tune in every Thursday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, 1:15 p.m. Pacific for weekly corporate presentations. For more information, visit redcloudfs.com.
We're going to switch gears, but we've got another cracker here. This is really impressive company that we're going to be talking about. And it's tough when we have 2 heavily loaded companies on at the same time. And we're going to shift gears because we're going from necessarily total exploration to production. And we've got a loaded team here, a big management team with a lot of track record. And we've got a very, very interesting low-cost production story. I don't want to take away anything from you, Mr. Mark Brennan, but it's a real pleasure to have you on here. And Cerrado Gold, how are you doing? Looking forward to having this discussion.
Everything's great. Thank you very much for having me on, and likewise, very interested to tell our the opportunity we have.
Well, it is quite an opportunity. Tell us a little bit about the jurisdiction, your relationships down in Argentina and Brazil. You've got two projects. One, is, I won't say one's better than the other, but one certainly is one of the cheapest all-in costs of production I can think of. But once again, I don't want to take anything away from you. But let's just start. Let's just start off high level. Kind of tell us about the company, where it's going, what's happening, where we are today.
In a nutshell, we started the company in late 2017, and on the basis of our lead project called the Monte de Carmo, which is in Brazil. We've taken that project to 1.3 million ounces today, and basically we're running a parallel course of exploration as well as development. Right now, the development is kind of moving forward very aggressively. We expect that we'll complete a feasibility study by the end of the first quarter, have our licensing for construction by the third quarter, and be in production by Q4 of 24. As you mentioned, we published a PEA in September based on the 1.3 million ounces. And as you rightly say, we have a production scenario where we'll have an 8-year mine life, but for the first 5 years, we'll be producing 150,000 ounces per year for total cash and all-in sustaining cost of $431, based on capex of based on capex of 125 million, which includes a 25 million contingency. So yes, the payback on this project is pretty immediate.
And that's kind of, once again, when you look at a company, you go, what's going on in this market? Because I mean, my math might be real off. So this is like an $800 million asset almost. Like, it's significant, and you're a $100 billion market cap company. You go, what is going on? What's happening here? This is amazing. This is a steal. What's going like? And it's, once again, a lot of it is just people not paying attention. They're not focused in on where there's true value. But this is, I mean, the all-in costs of being able to produce, and more people are paying attention to gold. They can see there's a lot of chaos out there. And this is when we talk about like near-term production, this is super near-term production for a mining company, but you also have production.
Exactly. So
I
didn't mention that we have a very strong project in Argentina called MDN and Minera Don Nicolas, and basically we acquired that just as COVID struck in March of 2020, and basically what we're looking at there is we bought it on the basis of an 8-year kind of project life for 50,000 ounces a year on a base case. We now see a sustained mine life with increased production, and we put out a press release a couple of weeks ago talking about how we're now looking at a dual strategy of higher grade material and lower grade material, which would look at us, having the capacity to produce 90,000 ounces per year by 2024, up from the 50,000 ounces that we expect to produce today at a cost of around $1,100. So very high margin business, generating 30 million, 40 million of cash flow. Again, if you look at the attribution of value there, many companies would be trading at our market cap just on the Argentinian asset.
Yes. Now there's a great slide here, and Adam, maybe you can help me pull it up here. It's the next one down where it talks about the growth profile. And this is a great slide that we want something. We deal with a lot of generalist investors, and they're newer to mining. But this is a great kind of visual representation of how you're going to add value, not only by increasing production, but you're cutting costs of the cost of production down as well. And this kind of gives someone a bit of a milestone without getting into great detail.
Sure.
But I love this slide. This is great.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, again, I'll just highlight the group that we have working together really started working about 20 years ago. And we developed a project called Jacobina, which we sold to Yamana for $700 million. The team then went and built Largo, the highest grade vanadium deposit in the world, which now has a market cap of north of $700-800 million. Basically we left, the team, came back together again with this project. And so what I'd say to you is when we acquired Minera Don Nicolas, this is kind of showing the capabilities that we have of this team that largely came from the past. We are a team of builders. We're a team of mining guys, but we do know how to promote and talk the story. But in terms of what we've done is we've gone into a project that was failing. What we did is we first and foremost, we improved the grade of the average feed to the mill from 2.7 under 2 grams up to now 4.7 grams. Cool. We expanded the production from 900 to 1,200 tons a day. And we and there's a lot of challenges in that, but as we put out in the press release in the third quarter, third quarter of last year was kind of the last stage of our restructuring. And now we're in what we call plain sailing with that 50,000 ounces. So we've reduced costs, we've expanded production. And now, I noted your previous engagement with someone. This asset is still very, very much in its exploration stage.
Yes,
it is a discovery asset. There's been no underground drilling at all below the pits where we're producing. It's all open pit right now. So the reality is that we've moved to a strategy of focusing on having one channel of production for lower grade material, which is anywhere from 0.3 grams to 1.6 grams, and then having a second channel for anything above 1.6 grams. So it's very exciting, and we see a long extension of mine life and profitability at this mine.
It's really interesting because there's a lot of commentators out there, and especially in kind of my world in space, and even the ones that don't cover mining, they're like, listen, you need to be paying attention to gold mining companies that can produce free cash flow, not only just for the free cash flow for operations, but you can provide free cash flow to continue drilling, to explore further. And as you said, this isn't, people think sometimes, well, we've got an end of life of mine at 7 years, or it's got this, it's got that. It's like, no. There's a lot more work that can be done here. There's blue sky potential still.
Well, you look at, right now we have about 1 million ounces in Argentina. And if you look at our neighbors, Cerro Vanguardia, who sits directly to the south, they've produced 8.5 million ounces. We have Yamana to the east of us, and they've produced something in the region of about 1.5 million ounces. They still have another 1 million plus ounces. And basically what these guys have done is they started open pit, they went underground. So we're really just still in the first chapter of our book.
So that's what people want to see, is they love having the upside potential. And this is so different. And that's why I like the two stories between the previous guest, that is really a team building as well as an exploration story, very heavily early stage. This is literally your team is you're miners. Like you have a long, deep history of great success mining and creating mines. And that's what's driving the better production as well as that decrease in cost. And that is huge.
We're miners, but we want cash flow.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And you're just at this early stage. And I would think even the average generalist investor is starting to pay attention, that they're starting to understand that commodities are so key today, to be not only to be defensive in what's happening in the world, but that's where a ton of growth is going to come for people. If you want to have defend your portfolio in the future here, looking at gold miners, and especially ones that have a big upside potential and that have been ignored.
I think we kind of fall into that category. I've heard you mention, I mean, the reality is it's a tough market out there. We've been public for a year. Actually, our year anniversary is on Friday. So it's been a tough year for most mining companies. A lot of attention, going to things like Bitcoin and other areas.
Yeah.
The reality is that we'll get our day, and that'll come. And when it does come, I think we have real good upside. Yes,
I mean, there's lots of just even if someone was to scroll through some of the pictures, some of the core, the detailed step-by-step plan that you guys have here. And I reach out to anyone. If you want the deck, reach out to myself or Red Cloud. We can send it to you. It is, if you want to see milestones and a projected map to success, it's all here, and it's very detailed for someone. And that's what I like people to be able to have a checklist to go. Sometimes the price of the stock doesn't matter. You're on a path that's very exciting. And if you can get the stock for a bit cheaper today, that's great. Because if you're hitting all those milestones, you're going to be rewarded. It's just a matter of when.
We've been in this game for a long time, and it's a heavily cyclical industry, peaks and troughs. And we certainly believe that the sector's in a trough right now. But the fact is, at $1,800 gold, $1,900 gold, people can make a lot of money.
Absolutely. So what are if someone's looking right now, there's a lot of key reasons to be looking at you guys just simply being undervalued. What are some of the things if they go, okay, what's some news that I'd be looking for? Are there other catalysts that might be happening very like either project specific or company specific that they should be watching out for?
Well, I think in terms of, we're on the development path for both projects. In terms of we're growing the production. As you mentioned, Argentina is generating probably 30 million of cash flow, 30 to 40 million of cash flow this year. From that perspective, it's big growth. But we were also looking to expand that production. Again, in 24, we'll be at 70,000 ounces. 23 will be at 70,000 ounces. 24 will be at 90,000 ounces. So we're almost doubling our production. We're funding that internally. We're not, for Argentina, we've always said that Argentina will fund itself. We're not going to dilute the company with equity for Argentina. And Brazil, Brazil, again, that'll have a feasibility completed by the first quarter of next year. We will be in construction in a year and a half from now. That's not a long time. And again, if you look at our PA, basically, for the first 5 years, at $1,600 gold, we generate $150 million of cash per year, starting in 2020. So that's right around the corner.
That's amazing. And you go, and once again, you're $100 million market cap company. I mean, yeah. Sometimes I shake my head when I'm in this space because you think this is insane. Like, how is this possible? And that's what I want people to come away with this is to scratch their heads and go, wait a second, what is going on here? Because I would rather them have more questions and be curious as to, this is incredible to be able to generate this, even 30, 40 million right now, off of 100 million market cap. If you were a tech company, I don't even know what they'd value, like a 90 PE ratio or something. I don't know if they would your value would be massive. So this is really, really unique.
I've been in this industry for a long time, and I've never seen anything quite like it, and I'm very fortunate to be involved, and sometimes you get lucky, and I think I'm very, very, very pleased about this opportunity.
Well, I mean, this one that definitely stands out. I would encourage people to reach out to me. There is a Red Cloud report as well. So reach out to Red Cloud or myself. I can direct you towards someone at Red Cloud if you want to see what their opinion is on this. But this was a real eye-opener to see this. And that's what I find so exciting about this space is, and thank you to Red Cloud, is introducing me to companies that are just, there's a lot of companies out there in the world. Let's make no mistake. But where you can see this type of cash flow, you don't see that very often. It's pretty exciting morning for me for sure.
Well, Andrew, thank you very much for helping us to get the story out there, and we'd love to address any questions, directly or through Red Cloud. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brennan. I appreciate your time and definitely appreciate all the work that you're doing there. And we look forward to any news coming out.
All the best. Thank you.
Take care.